Are you stuck? How about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for Magical Moments with Alena, as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. Alena will help you take control of your life and push you to do the things you never thought you'd do. So get ready to take back your power and celebrate life with Magical Moments featuring Alena Chapman.
Welcome to Magical Moments, and I'm your host, Alena Chapman. And as you know, folks, this is about ease and flow. And sometimes I have people who say, I want peace. I want peace. So for this magical nugget, I thought we would talk about that a little bit. Because we're doing the mindfulness, we're doing the breathing, which, oh my gosh, that is so helpful. And that is so powerful. I love concentrating on the breath, getting myself in order. I love this. However, then all of a sudden, someone does something we don't like, or someone says something that may not concern you, but you just don't like it. Or, I don't know, something happens that triggers you. I call it a trigger. Like, for instance, if someone does something that is a pet peeve of yours, maybe they buy a Diet Coke and you're so against Diet Coke. So you just abhor the fact that they bought a Diet Coke. It takes you out of that peace into this world of how dare they buy a Diet Coke. And I'm using a very simple example, but I'll tell you what, it really is that simple. It can be because someone is swearing. Oh my gosh, how dare they? If they got a tattoo, oh my gosh, what are they doing to their bodies? How dare they do that? And our peace goes right out the window. Right out the window. Now, there's two things about triggers I'd like you to look at this week, okay? Because triggers are an interesting thing. If something is triggering us to get all upset, to get all riled, to ruin that sacred peace of ours, then what is it in us that's causing us to be so highly triggered? It just makes sense. Why do I care if that person has a tattoo or buys a Diet Coke or swears? What is it in me that it just makes me go crazy? And when you look at it that way, all of a sudden, you find out inside yourself, there's something about it that really hits you to your core. Well, what is it? And when you find that out, then you gain the power back. It doesn't rule you. You rule it. And then next time you see someone dare to buy a Diet Coke or dare to have a tattoo or dare to curse or something, anything, wear orange, it doesn't matter. All of a sudden you'll say, you know what? That's her prerogative or his prerogative. And you'll go on your merry way and your peace will stay. The thing is, we've got to learn we cannot control the world. We control ourselves and then how we act. And if we want to put forward peace and love and tolerance and caring, then we have to be that peace, love, that caring. And if we are triggered by things, it really is about us, because we're not going to tell that person. Half the time we don't even go up and tell them, but we're not going to say, okay, everybody has to erase their tattoos. And on top of that, you can't do that. That's what freedom is. So why even worry about it? This gives you a big thought this week, a very big thought. And it kind of ties in with our wonderful guest today. We have Angela Bell, and she is a wealth engineer and the founder of Wholistically Made. I love that because I am holistically made. Angela's mission is to generate a pattern of wholeness, wealth, and well-being to help you live the life you are worthy of living. And that is so cool. Part of that is those triggers. She has been featured in ABC, iHeartRadio, and documentaries by Revealed Films. She's also a mom to 2 supersized and super amazing boys. All right. And she lives in Utah. She's very passionate about training the most determined souls. And for 15 years, she's been working with entrepreneurs to unravel the lie. Yes, I did say that, the lie that they have to be busy and doing to be successful. Okay. And with that, I'd like to bring on Angela Bell. Hello, Angela.
Hello, Alena. Nice to be with you today.
Hey, it's so nice to be with you too. Welcome to Magical Moments. So, my dear, let's talk a little bit today. I was talking a little bit about triggers, but there are so many things that keep us from living lives we love and being entrepreneurs that are successful. And I have a word in mind, and I would like to see if you're opening to wanting to discuss this since you help so many in their businesses. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. Resistance. That lie, that resistance. I call it resistance. You call it the lie. So this is a big topic, but I'll tell you what, it's one that we really, really need to understand in our lives. If all the self-improvement in the world, if you don't understand resistance, then manifesting is still going to be hard no matter how much work you do. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone's an entrepreneur because everyone's creating their own life. It's not just for business. And if you don't understand resistance, you're going to give up just when it's getting good.
Or when it's getting a tiny bit challenging.
Yeah, that's when it's getting good. We just are wired to think everything's going wrong when it's actually going right. So let's take that on today.
Yeah, let's take that on. Well, okay. Why don't you tell everyone what resistance really is, and especially in the business world, and why is it? Why is it when everything is going right? Which I like that. I love that half full glass. So tell people more about that because I'm interested too.
Well, my favorite analogy is going to the gym. So I go to the gym, I work out with my trainer. She hands me, a 10-pound barbell, and I'm starting to do a bicep curl. And all of a sudden, I start to really feel it. In fact, it starts to hurt. Do I drop the thing and run away screaming? Or go take a nap or go get a drink? Nope.
No.
Instead, it's like I've learned that when I really start to feel it, I get excited and I lean into it and I focus because I know I'm about to get what I'm in the gym for right now. I know I'm being successful because I'm starting to feel it.
So the same thing applies to any part of our life. When things get a little bit difficult, say, I don't know, you've got a business, you're starting out, you don't have a whole lot of money, you've got to pay for this and that, and all of a sudden you feel like your funds are really dwindling. Okay, the crunch is on. You're lifting that bell bar, right? And the pain is kind of there. That's not when you stop.
No, that's when you know you're onto something. That's when you know that things are starting to work together for you, not against you. My muscle is working against the barbell, but it's working for me to create that strength and that, beautiful cut in my arm that I want. It's like wear my short sleeve shirts, right?
Yes.
It's all coming together unless I take the signal wrong and freak out. So there's another way I like to describe it. Do you want to hear my box theory?
Yes, I want to hear your box theory.
Okay.
Yeah, what about it?
So imagine a stack of boxes. And right now we each are in our own particular box. And we don't have to stay there, but we often choose to. But when we get in that creative space and we want to be an entrepreneur in our own life or in a business, we decide that we're going to move through this box and push through this lid and get to the next box. We want to experience something different. We want to create something different. Well, you're super comfortable when you are in your box. And there's actually a lot of things in your brain that want you to not move forward. So you need to know that. You need to know that there's things inside you that want you to stay right where you are. And you don't really feel those things push against you until you try to move through the box. It's kind of like gravity. When you're standing on the ground, when you're standing on the bottom of the box, you don't really feel the gravity, right?
Right.
But when you start trying to move to the ceiling where the lid is, you feel the gravity. You feel it when you fall. You feel it when you're trying to climb. Like, you definitely feel it. And you know when you feel resistance the most? There's not much resistance until you get to the lid and you're trying to push through the lid. That's when you feel it. When your face is slammed up against it and you can't breathe and you can't see and you can't remember why the heck you're even doing this.
Yeah.
That's when you feel resistance.
Yeah.
So
and that's when everything breaks loose. All the criticism happens. I can't lift this lid. I can't do this. I don't have enough money to go to the next level, right?
Or all heck breaks loose. You get sick. People in your business start acting up, whether they're your customers or your staff. Your printer breaks. I mean, literally, it's almost like the powers that be and all the energy of the world is against you. But
now that is important right there, because we always think, and everyone talks about, that critical mind, comes into us and talks to us and says, you can't do this, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's so insidious. It sneaks in, and I want you to talk a little bit more. It will cause you to literally get sick. It will cause you to literally all of a sudden find conflict with people around you. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit more about that. I mean, have you had examples of that?
Oh, absolutely. So I call this the faces of resistance. There's some rules of resistance, but this is the faces of resistance. So your brain's number one job is to keep you safe. That's how we stick around on this planet to learn and create, is that our brain is wired to keep us safe. But what your brain thinks is safe and what your soul and your heart wants to choose next for you can be completely at odds.
Yeah, that's very true. If you're used to not, and if you're used to only being in your business, let's take your business, but this goes for your life too. So, all right. So in my business, I started my business in 2014 and I was in mindset more. And so with that, I reached a certain point. I was comfortable. I had clients. I was speaking all over. Everything was good. Then we switched to spirituality. Why? Well, because people heard my story. Someone asked me, why is it you're so calm? Allison even asked me that. How do you do that? You lose your phone, you're still calm. How do you keep that nice feeling? And what do you believe? And so I told my story and they said, you should be teaching this. So off we go to the races, right? So we reached the plateau that I was in my other business. Fine. I'm happy as a lark, right? Everything's just ticking along. But then I get itchy because I'm in that comfort zone, and sometimes you outgrow that. Your mind's outgrowing it. You want the business to grow. So we start doing other things. We start building. We start adding more. We start online with COVID. We started online stuff. And oh my gosh, Angela. All of a sudden, I saw it come out, and I knew it was happening. And I saw myself get a little snippy with everybody who has stood by me all this time, who are on my side. But I'm starting to get picky. I'm starting to pick at things. Do you see? I can't lift the lid.
Wound up.
Wound up? You call it wound up?
Wound up. That's one of the faces of resistance when it shows up, is you get really wound up and excited because you know that it's going to take some energy to change from box A to box B, right?
Right.
So you get really wound up, but in being wound up, you're not steady. And so it's like over energy in the energy world, in the mindset, it's disintegration in the brain with neurology, but you get wound up. And so you're over everything. And so it wears you out and you get worn out. And then that's when you're snippy and irrational. And you're like, but I'm so excited.
But you can cause problems, you got to stop. You got to calm yourself down. You've got to say, wait a minute. why am I creating this chaos?
And really, there's fear underneath that, and it's a form of resistance, because resistance is just a signal. Resistance is you're lifting this barbell so that your arm can be strong enough to do what you need it, what you've chosen to have it do. And it's the same thing with all resistance. It's all there as a signal to help you grow and have exactly what you need for the next box.
It's very cool. I mean, it is interesting how resistance works, but you have to realize, like I had to realize, why in the name of heaven am I starting to have this problem now after all these years? Now that we're doing something different, I'm starting to be kind of a little witch. Can you imagine? And so I had to stop and take a... Guys, it's that trigger. It's like a trigger. It's something that's saying your critical mind, your ego, your subconscious, that's not the wonderful part, is saying, wait a minute. We were really happy before. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? No. And why are these people pushing you in this way? And why is this and that? And you really have to think to yourself, wait a minute. This is where I want to go. You've got to look at yourself. It takes I always say everything happens inside you before it happens outside of you.
1,000%.
So if you're a mess inside, well, you are going to make one heck of a hard road for every employee, everyone in your family, everyone around you, because you are a mess. You are angry. You're dealing with resistance. You're going through stuff in there. You're going through a change. You know, when people are going through transformation, I always say, please, you're doing the work. You got to minimalize confrontation, being around heavy energy. You just got to kind of chill it out for just a couple days to let yourself readjust and build the strength inside of you, calm the resistance. What do you do?
Well, one of the biggest things that I've done with myself and with my clients is to really help them identify it. Because what happens is, imagine that you're, and we can talk about some of the identifiers, but imagine that you're standing in line for a roller coaster. And you see it come by, right next to you when it's about ready to stop, and you're like excited. And then you see it take off and it goes up 10 stories and it swishes down and you get scared. And then
I don't, but okay. I love it.
You're going through all these phases of the roller coaster and you're like, ooh, I'm excited. Ooh, I'm scared. Can I get out of this line? Is it too late? And that is the fact that fear and excitement travel on the same neural pathways in your body. And so you really do have a choice. Yeah. Whether you are afraid or excited. And if you learn how to identify resistance and lean into it, then you will move forward in life with excitement and you will achieve your goals. If you decide that you are afraid because you don't understand what resistance is, you can't identify it, or you don't know why it's there, then you will stop and you will be afraid and you will get out of line. For your goal, just like you would for the roller coaster. Exactly.
I think it is very true. You have to stop yourself. You see yourself acting kind of crazy. It's just like a trigger, really. And you have to stop and look back and say, okay, why is it we are about to launch an incredible program that I believe in so much. We are doing, it's going to be so big. Why am I doing this? All the signs are go. Why am I doing that? And that's what you have to ask. All the signs are go. Everything's in place. And I am all of a sudden sticking my heels in the mud going, wait. And that's my resistance. But why am I saying wait?
Or other things happen. Like resistance outside of you will show up. Everything suddenly is breaking. And you're like, what the heck? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But it's actually the opposite. It's an indicator that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And people, everyone out there, I know you're thinking, now what? No, it's true. We manifest stuff. It's really funny. And when things are going really, that it can start happening. Everything outside will start doing weird stuff. Anytime you grow, you will find that stuff outside, like light bulbs will break. Dishwashers will break.
Amen.
Yeah, they will just happen. It's really weird. And whatever you call it, I don't know why. It's vibration. Definitely, it's the resistance inside of you. It's so funny. I don't know how it really takes place, but I do know we have so much power inside of us. We don't understand it. I think most of the time we're scared about how much power we really do have. And we create our reality. And so if we have that fight going on inside of us, we're going to create the fight out here. And my gosh, all this material world just lines right perfectly for us to have that fight. So you will find all sorts of things, flat tires, lights turning red every time you turn around, all these little, it's really funny how our mind, but if you're in no resistance and flow, it's amazing. Even if that dishwasher breaks, you don't have a problem with it. Do you see the difference?
Being in the eye of the storm and with your feet planted firmly, and you can see
centered, yeah.
the sky, and you have plenty of space to do your thing, and you don't even really realize that there's a tornado, surrounding you.
And you don't care.
You have your space. Exactly.
And you don't care. That's the thing.
It's just like the switchboard going off inside of you saying, hey, this thought doesn't match that next box. This skill doesn't match that next box. It needs an upgrade. It's almost like, you think about your phone and how your phone has all the programming to run different apps and different functions. Yeah. And, once in a while, the thing needs an upgrade. If it's going to run the latest app or the latest thing that your iPhone's supposed to do, you've got to have the programming in that phone upgraded, or it won't run that app. And that's what we have to do sometimes we have to upgrade in ourselves.
It's really funny. It's like what Abraham Hicks says, and she talks about staying in the vortex. And I'm always, and I say the same thing, of course. But the staying in the vortex, and even when things are going crazy, how do you keep yourself in that? What she's really doing is getting you not to fall for every trigger that comes into the world. Not everything. Don't follow everything that's wrong. Look at all the good. And I remember one time, when things were not going right and I was not happy, I called my mentor, Bob Proctor. That was the turning point of my business, actually. Somebody had led me down the wrong road. I had lost a lot of money. And I texted him on a Sunday morning and I said, hey, can you talk? And he said, sure. And I called him at 9 o'clock and he goes, in 50 years, I've never had anyone call me on a Sunday morning. At 9 o'clock. And I said, I just don't know what to do. And do you know the first word he said? He didn't say, stop everything. He said, Alena, did you do your gratitudes? And I said, no. And he said, you do your gratitudes right now. Something so simple. I always say the most profound things to stop you. Stop that chaos. Stop that disaster. The simplest tools have the most profound effect. So I sat on the side of the road and I wrote out my gratitudes. And then I took a deep breath and I said, okay, I'm ready to move on. Isn't that something?
Oh, my goodness. You just nailed it. So the number one thing I teach clients is to identify resistance. The second thing we teach them to deal with triggers and to stay in the eye of the storm when the storm appears.
Yes.
Is what we call gratitude 2.0.
How can people find out more about you? Because you got a lot of good stuff and you've been in business for a while and you know what you're doing, So how can we find out more about you?
Well, they're welcome to join me on my website at angelabell.com.
Okay.
And we also have Wholistically Made Millionaires Facebook group that they're welcome to join us in, where we pop in and talk about all these different topics to support them. And we really I'm here to help people become holistically made, because that's the only way to be made and have it stick.
Yeah. It's so true. Being holistic and being whole. It's just being whole, isn't it?
100%.
And everyone out there, check out Soul Manifesto this week. I'll tell you what, Inevitable You is going like crazy. And check it out, because if you are in a place where you are always being triggered, if you're in a place where you don't have that feeling that you're creating, or having just the simple tools that can make profound effects in your manifesting and designing your life and feeling calm with your family, with dealing with stuff at work, with dealing with that boyfriend or girlfriend. So all those things, those simple tools that just like gratitude that Bob Proctor told me, simple things like that, and learn from some of the top experts. Check it out. It's on soulmanifesto.com. It's called Inevitable You. And it's really changing people's lives, and I want to invite you for that. And also, we have some free programs, Soul Talks, which is fantastic people on Thursday nights at 6 live on Zoom, where we talk about all sorts of incredible things, and they're loving people. And then we have a 7-day reset program to get that inner calm back. Guys, it's all about opening to love, because spirit is love. And so when we open to that, when we get rid of that resistance, when we get rid of all the pollution in our heads, oh my gosh, that's when we can start filling our lives with spirit. I love you all. Have a fantastic week with these little tools. Namaste.
This has been Magical Moments with Alena, featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.